Hey, thank you for joining us. We are getting into the bits and bytes of rental investing, giving to you practical, useful information about rental property investing. And today we are going to talk about a very important routine that we should make sure property management offers us in order to proactively make sure that our property is kept, and for other various reasons. I'll let Angela, you give us all the information. And basically, I want to ask you about your offering of the proactive property inspection. What is it and why is it important?
So as a property manager since 2012, I can tell you that the inspection process is key, and not one a year. You need to be in the home, or we need to be in the home for you at least twice a year. If our inspection team goes in and we see hoarding happening, we see dog feces already on carpets, we see walls that have already been destroyed, the first thing we can do is issue a 7-day notice to cure from that inspection. That is a legal document that gives those tenants 7 days to get that property back up to living condition.
Before we get into the response of what we are doing with the observation of the inspection, can you inform or help us better understand? Okay, so you send someone from property management to the house.
Correct.
What are you looking for in this inspection?
So in a mid-lease inspection, we're going in and checking the entire unit. We're going to make sure that light bulbs are still working, door stops are in place, that carpets are not torn, there's no leaks happening. Tenants are very funny creatures. When they're inconvenienced, they will tell you they have a maintenance issue. But if it's not an inconvenience to them, you're not going to know about the problem. I can tell you one of the biggest problems we have are leaks under a sink. When a faucet, when a pipe is leaking, tenants do not report that. And unfortunately, water damage, #1 expense throughout all investment properties. Water damage is a killer. Water mitigation can be costly. The damages that can happen from water leaks can really escalate, causing mold. We live in Florida. Florida, again, we're the tropics here, we have tropical weather. So it's not a matter of if you get mold, it's a matter of when you get mold, and you're going to it. If there are leaks in the house, then that's just going to add to it, and you don't even want to know the cost for mitigating mold. It is very costly. And so those inspections, we're looking for those leaks, we're looking for anything that stands out, we're looking to make sure the home is being well kept. Is the lawn being cared for if the tenant's responsible for that? Are there bugs crawling all around? Because tenants are responsible for the inside pest control and the immediate exterior of a home. So are there bugs visual? Those are the things that we're looking for. We want to make sure your investment is being cared for. Are they a little dirty or sloppy? We're not worried about that. They have their shoes around the house. We're okay with that. Mom's got stuff thrown over because she's got 5 kids. We're fine with that. We're looking for those damages that can cause long-term issues on your property.
Great. So I want to highlight some things before we move on with the inspection process observation and how we're going to respond to it. So you went into the property, you got the observations, and now you explain, okay, why is it important? I want to really clarify, like, why is it important? So you mentioned when we're proactive with the inspection, we can identify issues early on and then reduce the cost base of, let's say, treating some kind of a local leak and avoid doing all work around breaking walls or replacing things that got damaged through the time period of the ongoing leak.
Correct.
That's one example. And so that's one reason why it is important. And can you talk a bit about, like, how are you looking factor the tenant quality as a result of this inspection? Would this impact, like, for example, your decision on renewal or any sorts of things like that?
It actually does. So when we've done our inspection, if we see that the home is not being cared for at that 6th to 7th month point, we're certainly coming back to you as the owner and asking you, look, here's what we have found. We are going to take that 7-day notice to cure action, but do you want to consider not renewing to them? And if they don't actually respond to the 7-day to cure, and you do have an option at that point that you can move to eviction. But if you're noticing that there is a tenant in place who is not valuing the investment, it is best to sever those relationships as soon as possible. So you can't break a lease. And the tenant can break a lease. So if you know at 6 months they're not good, we're not going to offer them a renewal. So at the 90 days prior to the lease ending, we're not going to come back to them and go, hey, do you want to stay? We're actually going to go ahead and give them a 30-day notice that we're not renewing. And so you get that choice as the owner as well.
I think that what we can learn from this, and that's really important for investors saying, I just purchased a property, I saw all the leasing process and screening process, and I feel good with the tenants in my property. So this is some kind of a verification that is important because, one, this is a structure and things can evolve with time. And secondly, we're not just inspecting the property or the structure, we are also getting some kind of a verification of how the tenants are actually keeping the property. So this is some kind of inspection for the structure and evaluating the quality of our tenants.
Correct. I do want to actually mention there is a slight caveat to what we've talked about today. There are no absolutes in our world in any field, in anything. I unfortunately have been privy to a tenant who was inspected at 6 months, and we went in upon move out and we found an absolute nightmare. Now this particular tenant was upset. The owner had decided to sell the property. They had wanted to purchase the property but were not in a financial place to do so. So I will also tell you there was some revenge behind this process. But at the 6 months when we went in, we have video and it was clean and pristine and beautiful. When we went in for the move out inspection, I won't even mention on tape what we found, but I can tell you that this owner had to replace all the carpets and had to do a complete paint on the house. And that's a costly investment, even though he was selling. So keep in mind, inspections are helpful, but they're not 100%.
Doing investment for so many years, and I think it's true for any type of investment, the experienced investor should think about it in terms of evaluating risks. I'm not aware of risks-free investment, but there are ways to avoid or minimize the risks profile for sure, and that's part of what we're doing, and we're mitigating risk. There doesn't mean there are no risks, so I think that's very
exactly
important.
The point, yes.
That's very important, and I want to put another important topic mentioned here. We have another video talking about secondary causes, but when actually we are doing the transaction, closing on a property, renovating it, and making it rent ready, it's really important. We are doing that, but it's really important making sure you have documentation and keep documentation of the renovation you have done and photos of the product as was provided to the tenant. And I think the inspection is another tool in that. So once there is a massive damage, extreme case, it's not something that is prevalent, not from my experience, but things can happen, you have the option to evaluate secondary causes, legal procedure, which we talk separately, how it works, how to do it, but prep for that and line up your position to be in the best way to utilize this process if needs be.
Absolutely. We do video 360 technology on all move-ins and move-out. For our mid-lease inspections, or if we are sent in for another inspection, we do take a video, but it's not with the 360. The 360 technology literally allows us to see the full circular of the room from top to bottom and all around. That comes in very handy to compare footage from move-in to move-out, especially if we do get into security claim issues. We have that evidence that we need in order to help facilitate that process.
Yeah. Part of the, maybe one of the repeated things I've learned through time, and maybe that's just because of my background coming from project management, but I really believe that if you as an investor doing the management or even the governance, taking attention into the small details, then this would help you reduce the risk base of your investment. And I think that's a really, really good example that you've taken for us, and we have videos about how to find and how to vet property management. We are asking these details question. A, are you working with system? Are you doing making photos? Do you have documentation? Asking all of these questions, watching and putting attention into the details, it helps for the big picture to be more aligned with what you would expect. And otherwise, this is where we realize in retrospective that we took risks or made mistakes and faced the consequences. But definitely, I think this is part of what we can provide in our system from our experience for people that want to leverage that. Thank you for being with us. I think this was, honestly, Angela, a very important video. I appreciate you sharing this from your experience. If you have more questions related to upkeep the property, proactive maintenance through inspection or other ways, do write us comments here. We want this video to be a resource for you about this inspection and proactive maintenance, proactive upkeep of your rental property, and we will answer your questions here. If you enjoy our materials, please do like and share, and we would love to see you with us in your next investment in the future. Thank you.